Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about how I finally started journaling, the types of journals, really geared towards beginners who kind of want to journal and practice gratitude and mindfulness and all those kind of benefits, but don't really know how. So I'll leave the timestamps down below in the description box as always, and you can always jump to whatever section you want, but I just kind of wanted to give an intro, then kind of talk about the different types of journals that I've come across, and then talk about what's worked and how I really finally started. So for those of you guys who don't know me, or this is the first time you stumbled across this channel, I am a mom of 2 young girls. I've always loved planners. I have my own Etsy shop, but I also have a corporate job, and I actually work in accounting. So my background is in accounting and finance. I'm a CPA, blah, 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 etc. So with that, I'm not sure if it's everybody, but like certainly for me and my husband, who is also an accountant, and he's actually in tax, like I'm very, the word's not objective, but like I'm kind of just like, you know, all about get things done, productivity, that kind of stuff. I'm not as good as like those softer skills, I guess. I don't know if that's a way to classify it, but like for example, I'm amazing at planning. I mean, not to say it that way, but like, I think I am quite good at planning. I'm good at getting things done. I love using my planner for functional reasons. If you see my previous videos, everything's functional, right? And I've always struggled with journaling and those kind of just like writing or like practicing gratitude and mindfulness. I always just thought of it as like, oh, that's just willy-nilly, you know, that stuff. I don't really need that. And with COVID and all the stuff that's happened around the world, I actually lost my mom earlier this year. I never kind of shared that here just because I'm a bit more private about those things and deal with it in my own way. Yeah, after that kind of happened, I found that it was something that I started needing. And actually also the other thing was I had my second daughter throughout COVID. She was born in 2020, so right at the peak of COVID. And I found postpartum with her a lot more challenging because it was such an opposite experience from my older one who, you know, I was able to go out, do stuff, hang out with friends, just such a different experience. Anyways, so that's kind of like a bit of the backstory is like how I started finding that I needed it, but still I was not good at doing it, and I didn't really know how to get started. So maybe let's talk here now about the different types of journals I came across. Of course, I'm like no expert in journaling. I'm still very much a beginner. So I just wanted to share though the different types of journals that I've come across that you may know. If there's more that you guys know of, please let us know in the comments below so that we could try them out. So what I found was the very first type is kind of those traditional guided journals, right? Now, the very popular one is called the 5-minute journal. I'll probably add a screenshot here of that. And, you know, this kind of thing. So I have one that's kind of similar. It's called No Worries, a guided journal to help calm anxiety, blah, blah, blah. This type of like guided journal book you can find on Amazon. I'll link everything down below as well. Everything that I mentioned and that I can find. But basically it's like, it's kind of that daily prompts that you have. Sorry about that. So it's the daily prompts that you kind of have, and then, you know, summarizing your accomplishments on a certain day, and there's reflections, and yeah, so this type of guided journal scenario kind of in a bound book. And there's a whole bunch of them. I just know the 5-minute journal one is recently a very popular one, but I'm sure there's lots more. And you can see that I tried doing it for like, I think maybe a week, not even a week. And oh, I actually started week 2 and then I just stopped. And it didn't work for me. And I think the reason is just because, I don't know, like the same questions every day here, I don't know, it didn't work for me just because sometimes I just felt like those weren't the questions that I wanted to write about. You know, it like doesn't give a lot of options for just write freely, just write what you think. And some days I didn't want to answer these questions. I just wanted to unload what I was thinking. So that's why this didn't really work for me. So that's that and that kind of journaling. But if you're somebody who, you know, you can write about the same things every day and you're happy to do that, you like the concept of like a bound book, the same thing, and you think you can finish it, then absolutely these are great and there's lots of options. The next one, of course, and I don't have a random book, but like basically it's just writing in a notebook, right? So a lot of people in the, you know, traveler's notebook community use traveler's notebooks as a form of journaling, right? They just take, you know, a blank notebook and they just write. So that's another option. And it obviously doesn't have to be a traveler's notebook. It can just be any lined book. You can literally go to like the dollar store and buy a lined book and start writing your thoughts. Now, this way I find a bit unnerving as a beginner, I guess, just because it's like this big white page staring at me. And for me, it's just like, what do I do? Where do I start? It almost causes me to like stop and like hesitate because I don't know what to do, right? So one thing that can help with that is buying like a smaller notebook, then you feel less pressure. So, you know, like a pocket-sized notebook. Moleskine has them. Leuchtturm has them. I mean, you can get them from the dollar store. It doesn't have to be a nice book, right? Or passport-size traveler's notebook is also a very good size. Yeah, so that's another way. And the nice thing about this type of journaling I find that I kind of like is that you can add photos, you can, you know, watercolor, you can do other things that, you know, are practicing mindfulness too, is really just like being in that moment and not really thinking about, you know, your worries, your troubles and whatever. So this gives you a lot of open space as well. It's a double-edged sword of, you know, a blank slate and you don't know where to go. It's very opposite of the guided journal, right? You can go anywhere with this and you have the flexibility to really change day to day. So those are, I would say, the two opposite of the spectrum and what I initially thought of as journaling and practicing gratitude and mindfulness. That's really what I would come to mind. But then, you know, as I tried out these things and they didn't work for me, I started, you know, just thinking about other ways that aren't the traditional concept of practicing journaling or mindfulness and all that stuff, and just doing what I felt calmed me and kind of got this anxiety off my back. And so what I went to next that I really liked was the Hobonichi. And I actually use this as kind of like a memory keeper, as well as being able to unload some thoughts. So, I mean, all this stuff is like quite private, so I don't want to show you exact pages, but I just kind of want to explain the concept of how I use this. So for me, some days I felt that I just needed to unload what was on my mind. And I needed just some space, but I didn't want like the pressure of having this blank slate, right? So I told myself, you know, the weeks, the grids, sorry, not the grids, but the weeks, the actual weekly spaces are very small, right? So if you're just starting out, like this is, you know, very not intimidating, whatever that word is. So on days when I, you know, didn't feel like I needed to unload or whatever, and I just wanted to, you know, make a memory or remember something that made me feel happy. And that's ultimately what gratitude is, right? You remember those happy thoughts and think, wow, like these happy things happened to me. So I would just do that. So on the days where I didn't really want to talk about anything, I just wanted to remember what happened, and it was a fun event or whatever, I would just write it there and add some stickers. Sometimes like putting down stickers in a journal is like a form of mindfulness. I feel like it just relaxes you, right? So that's what I did. And then there would be other days where, you know, I kind of wanted to talk about my week, but again, no pressure. There's some grid space. Sorry about the focus here. There's some grid space on the side here. And so I would just write here. Again, if I didn't want to write anything, I wouldn't. And you can see when I flip through quickly that some days, you know, what makes me happy and what makes me feel gratitude is just having pictures. I'm a very visual person, I guess, in that sense. So I would just print a picture off of my HP Sprocket. Again, I'll link all this stuff down below. There's lots of different types of photo printers. And I would just paste a little sticker on here and that would be it, and I would call it a day. Then of course there's the days where I need more than this space, I need more than this, and I kind of would just need to vent. And I had a lot of those days earlier this year, you know, when I lost my mom. I just, it was hard. It was really, really, really hard. I lost her very quickly to ovarian cancer. And so I just needed to unload, and I would do it in the back. And you'll notice that I kind of wrote in cursive. And the reason why I did that is just because, like, sometimes I'm just trying to get the thoughts out, and I'm never going to reread that stuff again. So for me, journaling is not going back and reading it and whatever. It's a lot of the time when I'm unloading, once I get it out, you just feel better, right? So that's what I would do. I would just scribble really quickly, write really quickly, and just get the thoughts out there. And I really did find that it helped. I also actually did that a little bit on and off when I was postpartum with my second daughter. So this was kind of the starting point, I would say, of something that was kind of in between those two forms that I just talked about, that I really enjoyed and kind of got me started on what I call as kind of journaling, some sort of journaling path that was a bit more consistent. Again, I don't pressure myself to go in here. If I don't feel it like it, I don't do it. And that's the other thing about those guided journals when I first talked about, it's like the daily, I just felt this pressure of doing it, but I didn't want to do it, right? And this is just like, if I missed a week, whatever. If I didn't feel like touching it that week, then no biggie, not a big deal. So for those of you who are starting out and just kind of trying to navigate what you want to do and how you want to journal, I really think this is a great size because it just gives a lot of flexibility and not any pressure. I know some people use like the Hobonichi A6, for example. And for me, I find that that planner, the A6 size is a lot smaller than some of those bigger ones, which is great. But I just don't like those dated pages because, again, it makes me feel like a bit of pressure. Anyway, so that's another option, is kind of like a bit of a dated / blank page combo way to journal. Another one is this kind of mom's one line a day. Obviously, it doesn't have to be a mom. They have these in just like without the mom. It's just 1 line a day. And this is a 5-year journal, but Hobonichi also has it. This one is kind of a memory journal, but you know, they have this one in like the different covers, and some of them don't say memory, just says 5-year journal. Some of them just say 1 line a day. Hobonichi has one of these. Midori has a 5-year. There's lots of 5 years, and of course it doesn't have to be 5-year. But the good thing about this is it's very small. Again, it's kind of like the Hobonichi Weeks, where it's just a little bit of space. So if you're just starting out and you know, trying to get into a bit of a habit, this small little space is really helpful because you just don't feel any pressure, and it's really easy to just jot a line of anything that you want down, right? The good thing about this one compared to Hobonichi is that it's undated, so you could put whatever year you want. So if you missed a day, you could just do that day the next year, or you could go back and fill it out. So that's another really good option from, I think, an intro to journaling perspective. And then another way is kind of using printables. So for those of you who are in the planner community, or know a bit about planning and stuff, you could, for traveler notebooks or ring planners, you can get inserts, and they don't have to be printable, of course. They could also be, you could just buy the inserts, right? And you can use inserts and do some journaling in that. So the great thing about this, and for me, if you guys have seen my previous videos, what I like about this is that you have all this flexibility to change week to week. Like I was saying before, is that like some days, like I don't want to write about the same thing. Some days I have more to write, some days I have less. The great thing about kind of this inserts type setup is you have a lot more flexibility to change when you want. Of course, in a TN, you can't change as much as a ring planner. Ring planners are my go-to, but I know a lot of people do journal in the traveler's notebook style books. But even with this, like, you can change inserts, right? So if like 1 week you're kind of feeling this type of vertical layout, where I know a lot of people like this type of memory keeping, but I use kind of memory keeping, journaling, all that kind of stuff interchangeably, is if you kind of want to do the events or highlights of the day kind of by chronological order of the day, you can use this vertical style. And I know this is a really popular style for journaling. So that's kind of that. And I tried doing this and I like that, and adding little stickers and stuff, and it looked nice. And it was kind of fun and cute to do. I don't have the time for this. This is just, for me, it's just too much. So you could see I kind of stopped doing it. But this is, for example, is just like an insert from my shop. But of course, if you have inserts from other shops, any type of weeklies, it could be vertical, horizontal, whatever, right? You can make them into a little booklet and then just do journaling and memory planning in them. And of course, you can get so many different types of layouts, right? You don't have to use a weekly for planning, even though maybe that's what it's intent. It doesn't say journaling, it says it's like a weekly for, you know, planning purposes. You can get creative and use it for journaling. So another option is, I was saying, is for me, traveler's notebooks. I just don't have enough flexibility. I like rings because I like the ability to, like, you know, one day I'm feeling this type of layout, the next day I'm feeling another, because you know, one day I just want to unload and I want to just scribble on a really large piece of paper because I have a lot to say. I'll do that. Another day I might feel like I'm in a guided mood and I want some guided journaling. Then I can do that as well. Some days I might want to use a Hobonichi Weeks type of layout, and you can do that in a ring planner. So for me, I just love that flexibility. But of course, a lot of other people like aren't so insane like me, having to have some different thing every single day. But I just wanted to show you this. This is actually a collab that I did with Alicia Plans. She was actually previously Plans with Witchy on Instagram. And we just released this recently. And this came at such a good time because when we started talking about this, I had been going through this journey. I was dabbling in and out. And I was just like, yeah, like, because I would try to do it in here, and I was just like, oh, but I can't stick with this layout. And I had never really tried to do journaling in a ring planner before. And I don't know if it's just me, but I just find that it's not as common. I feel like people use ring planners for planning, and then traveler's notebooks for journaling, and more bound notebooks for journaling. And not as many people like practice journal. I don't know, maybe I'm just making this up, but I just find that people don't journal as much in a ring planner, and maybe that's just because they find it difficult to have like lots of inserts and a way to index everything, or not index, but to be able to keep the inserts after. And some people find that difficult, and I can make a different video about that if you guys are interested. But anyway, so she came up with this idea about doing a self-care bundle. I was like, oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what I need, is that flexibility, but for journaling. It's kind of the thought of like, I would put journaling in this bubble of how I had to do it, but that's not how you have to do journal. That's not how you have to do anything, right? Just do whatever works for you. So I've been really loving this. I'm not going to share the close-up of these just because I don't want to share kind of a bit personal. But maybe I'll add some photos and stuff of these beautiful, beautiful layouts that some people have done on Instagram, and I will show you those hopefully maybe here. Okay, so I just want to show you the layout. So for example, it's kind of like the guided journal one I was showing you earlier, but it's of course in a ring form. So on certain days, I'm kind of talking about these things, so I'll write it. It's also not a lot of space, so I don't feel a lot of pressure. We added this kind of just right here at the bottom because a lot of days I just want to get something off my chest if I'm writing. And so I really wanted to make sure that you had a spot to just write, because that's what the purpose of journaling is, right? And that's whether you want to unload, whether you want to add like a little sticker, a little photo of the day, whatever you want to do, you just want to have space for that. Then we added some moods. That's important for me too, is to kind of track how my moods are changing. And sometimes it's like, oh, if my mood, I wake up in the morning and I'm in a bad mood, then I do some journaling, I do an activity, I go work out, and then by the end of the day, I'm in a good mood. It's good to kind of see what you did that day to see that your mood has changed as a result of those activities. Then with this bundle, we also have like the month in reflection, and this basically you just talk about like what's worked for you. If you think back about what's happened in the month, what has worked, and so that way you can kind of highlight what is your focus next month then, in order to hopefully progress. And then the other thing that we added that I thought was a really good idea by Alicia is a monthly habit tracker, which is basically to kind of summarize how the month went. So you see on the dailies that we have these moods, and you can track those on the daily, but sometimes you can't see a pattern without having kind of a monthly tracker like this. This is very open and versatile, so sometimes it's like if you want to track your sleep throughout the month as well as your mood below, you'll be able to see how the two correlate to each other. So it's a very open concept monthly habit tracker. So that's that. And if you go on Etsy, I love Etsy because people are just so creative. There's so many other bundles there for self-care and journaling and wellness, and people just have the best ideas. So if you go there, if you're interested in kind of this insert style, I'd highly recommend Etsy and just search, journaling inserts, and there'll be lots of options out there for you. So those are kind of the different options I found as a beginner. Of course, those who are really deeply into journaling, you're probably not watching this video anyways, but if you guys know of other good options, please let me know down below, because it is something that I do think makes a difference and is really important, something that's really been highlighted as a result of COVID, going through this crazy time. I'm really finding the benefit of it, and I'd love to, get better at it every day. My ideal would be to just be able to have one open space notebook that I would, just write in and be able to be creative. And I just always need change. It's like the same with my planning and my journaling. I feel like I need change too. But, at the end of the day, for me, I'm always all about the journey, and sometimes trying different things is fun, right? The whole point of everything is to find something that makes you happy. This is our hobby. If it makes you happy and you want to keep doing it and it makes you feel good, that's ultimately the purpose of practicing gratitude, mindfulness, journaling, all that kind of stuff, is just to make yourself feel good, right? So anyways, that was kind of a lot of rambling. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. For me, the ones that I'm keeping with right now, I am keeping with this one. This one but I don't go in here every day. I do try to keep up with it and catch up. Mainly what I like to do is add like the stickers on my, through my HP Sprocket, and they just bring me a lot of joy. I know it's kind of expensive to do these like stickers, but it's just like so handy and easy, because you just connect it to the printer, the HP Sprocket, you pick your photos, you can make like these little layouts now and print it, and then you kind of have the memories. And I like to have the picture along with the words, so that's what I've been doing, just to kind of be able to look back at it later on maybe. So I am keeping up with those two, and then of course I have been starting doing the inserts, and again, no pressure on myself. I'm doing it when I want to do it, and yeah, just going from there. I really do like the habit tracker in here though, because I do want to see especially how my vitamins have been affecting my mood. Now that it's summer, I've been going for walks. I want to track how my walks link to my mood. So I really like that habit tracker kind of insert. And maybe I should release that as a separate thing, just because I think it's such a great concept. Anyways, enough of my rambling. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down below if there's something else you want to see. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you guys want to be notified of my videos. I've really been trying to keep to a 2 videos a week kind of schedule. Past couple weeks I was super busy and I kind of fell off for a minute, but I am back, so please let me know, and excuse my outfit combo here. Oh my god, I'm so bad. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.